Courtney, what does it mean right now for you when you hear the word growth? Like, what does growth means to you right now in this new season that you're in? Because everyone kept telling me, "Oh, she's in leadership. She's attracting more people. She's selling real estate." Like, for you, what would growth? How could you describe growth on your next level?
Yeah, so when you say that to me, growth looks like it's very personal in that I want to continue growing and being as authentic to myself as possible and continuing the self-awareness and self-reflection. And I think that my younger self, I was doing a lot of things that I just thought like we were supposed to do, or I don't know, there's so much information that we get at a young age or when we're starting a new career and you try and latch onto all of it. But kind of to what I was saying in the beginning is, growth to me is just discovering more about myself and how I can be as aligned with my purpose as possible, and figuring that out. And so I think growth is just figuring it out. And then, the business comes along with that. When you are authentic to yourself, people see that without you having to say that. So that's really like the biggest part of growth that I'm really excited about right now is just becoming a better version of myself and doing that every single day is exciting. And if I can, share my story
And
and it impacts
sure.
someone or they relate to something that can hopefully just like shift your mindset. Like I like to when I'm talking with people or listening to other people, I'm very observant and I notice what's going on and sometimes I can be very quiet and I'm just like processing everything. And then there's, times where you have to step into your leadership a little bit more and be a little more vocal, be vulnerable, and just be open to the next thing that like this I would have never imagined, that a podcast, I'd be on a podcast. And so that's amazing. But you have to be open for what's like meant for you and it's gonna happen.
And it's interesting you say that because I do remember you mentioned that you used to be the quiet one. Actually, when I heard you speak, you said that you were
Mm-hmm.
always the one in the back of the room and hiding from anyone. I mean, what changed? What happened? I mean, how did you go from being at the back of the room to
Yeah,
now being in front of the room because you were in the stage?
yeah. I it was, just not being confident in speaking up or my voice. And I would overthink things and I wanted to make sure that the what I thought in my head was coming out clearly and that I really wanted to express what I was thinking or feeling in a clear way. And sometimes when I would speak up or like use my voice, it was not coming out the way that I wanted it to because I think I was overthinking things. I was worried about, is it going to come out right? And so I just made the decision to slowly take some steps out of your comfort zone. And then that's how you build confidence. It's in the mistakes that you make and trying again is when you're building that confidence level up. So it's just like taking small steps every day to build that momentum and then just knowing yourself. So I realized in situations where I was going into my shadow, and that's the easy thing to do, right? Like, I'm comfortable there. I don't feel like I'm going to make a mistake, but realizing like there's just so much more. I have so much to share. And I do believe that what I have to say is important. Um, Changed kind of, all of that.
Now, where do you see yourself 5, 10 years from now? Like, where do you see yourself? Let's say 5 years from now. Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I see myself having the career that really gives me the flexibility to do all the things that I want to do with traveling, having the support within my business that I can lean on and not feel like I'm doing everything on my own. I definitely want to grow my organization. I want to, investments are definitely something in the near future, hopefully sooner than 5 years. But that's kind of like the next step for me is getting into, residual income from investment properties.
Nice, nice. Now, if someone was listening to us right now and they're afraid of getting started in either the real estate business or just betting on themselves, what is one thing that you would just share with them that you believe can make an impact?
I would encourage you to think about where you're at and what your life looks like if you don't make this, if you don't go all in on yourself. And, think about that. Are you going to be happy with that? Are you going to feel fulfilled? Are you going to feel like you're living your purpose? And kind of what is the risk if you don't take this opportunity? What is your life going to look like in 2 years if you don't make the decision now? And then in 2 years, what does your life look like? Now if you didn't make the choice, you're still possibly in the same position you were in, and not just position with a career, but in your life. And 2 years just passed where you could have already taken that step and could have went all in on yourself. So that would be my advice. Kind of, reflect and see like what life are you passing up if you don't make that choice for yourself.
Well, life you're sacrificing, right? That's well said. And our last question, Courtney. I mean, again, thank you for just being here with us. I do believe that with someone that is watching this, we're gonna be able to help either maybe a thought or maybe just creating a space for them to feel comfortable to eventually even saying, you know what, I do remember at one point I heard this podcast and I'm not the only one feeling this way. So my last question is if there's if we usually like to end and ask people that anywhere we meet through our collective closures community already and just people that even come through our teams or through our door, if there's one thing that you have to close yourself on, like meaning convince yourself on, that could have been at the early age of your career or maybe even right now, is there something that you had to close yourself on so that you can have this massive improvement of your life, your finances? What is that? Like, what is the biggest uh, thing you close yourself on so that way you can start seeing this growth that you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, I would say I had to close myself on uh, believing that I am enough, believing that I do have a lot to share, and believing that I have important things to share. So, when I was younger, growing up, I was never like the smart one. I was never told like you're smart, you're gonna do amazing things. It was very like based on superficial things, I think. And so I really did have to close myself and say that you are a leader, you are, have important things to share, and you're gonna make an impact. And just believing that in myself. So I did have to really close myself on that.
And definitely you did, and thanks to that, now we get to have this opportunity to connect with you. Not only that, I do know that we are going to be sharing a message that I think someone out there is going to need, and it's going to be grateful to you for being able to just connect in this fashion and for us to be able to help someone else just move the needle a little bit forward. So again,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
doing
Thank
this
you.
with us. We really appreciate that. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? do you want to share your social media, or I mean, if they have a
Yeah,
question,
yes,
who do
absolutely.
you open your door to? I mean, just this is a space for now. You allowing someone else, if maybe they want to have a quick, question, that they can go ahead and reach out.
Hmm.
How do they do that?
Yeah, I definitely encourage anyone that wants to reach out, please. I'm probably most active on Instagram, so it's livin LIVIN underscore 303. Also on Facebook, but I would say the best way to contact me would be on Instagram. And please, feel free to message me, send me a friend request. If you have any questions or just something that you wanted to share, or something going on with your career or life overall where you kind of need some just like a little guidance on or some clarity on, please, I'm definitely open to having a conversation and I would really love that.